Today we continue with our class Shabbat Kitchen. Today's class number 11. We start with Sefer Shmiras Halashon. And today's topic, meriting the light. The Torah states, and they, the judges, shall judge the people with righteous judgment. Says Dvarim 16:18. Medrash Tanhuma comments. Okay, so judges have to. Judges, 1 second. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda, when Rav Shalom said, this teaches that the judges should strive to find merit for the people before the Holy One, blessed be He. Right? So we don't want to kill anybody. From whom do we learn this? From the Gidon ben Yoash. In his day, Israel was in distress, and God sought someone who could speak in their merit, and thereby arose divine compassion for them. But no one could be found, for the generation was poor in their fulfillment of the mitzvahs and performing of the good deeds. As soon as Gidon was deemed worthy of having found merit for them, a heavenly angel revealed himself to him. Thus it is written, and the angel of HaShem appeared to him. And he said, go with the strength of yours. Shoftim chapter 6 and verses 12 through 14. Meaning with the strength of the merit which you found in Mount Children. So what it says here, so basically it doesn't matter how lowly people fall, Jewish people, there are always some merits. So which we never try to look for negativity, but something positive, and you have to start and to build up on that positive things. So just tell them right away, outright the situation. Basically, if you continue doing this, going your ways, you're going to be punished. But they don't hate people because whatever they do, people have desires, and our job is to help them with their desires, to overcome them, to show them the right way. Okay, this then is a meaning of, and they, the judges shall judge the people with righteous judgment. There is that they should strive to find merit for a generation. Right, so you find merit and continue helping them. Okay, continue. As the above, to underscore the greatness of finding merit for the Jewish people before HaShem. One who does so becomes a receptacle for the spiritual light of the sacred heavenly sanctuary, which is called the sanctuary of merit. For it is there that the merit of Israel are mentioned, as stated in the Sefer HaRabim. Okay. So 1 second, change the books. All right, so we're going to Shabbat Kitchen. So last time we finished the whole chapter. Today I don't think we're going to finish the whole chapter because the topic is huge. And it's very important, and I think it's, I mean, for some people, I think it's the hardest thing to do. It's the hardest malach. Even though, I mean, we'll try to explain, it's not so hard, but let's start. Okay. So it's famous one, right? Borer, sorting. Introduction. Borer, sorting, is one of the 39 melachas. Borer is unique among the melachas in that it applies with a great frequency, not only in food preparation, but also during the meal and after the meal. Hardly a meal passes without being faced with a question of borer. The poskim write that one of the most difficult halachas of the Shabbos is melacha of borer, and we'll see it applies very, very frequently, as the authors say, before the meal, during the meal, and after the meal. Right, and in some cases, not only with food, but with other things. Okay, we'll see. It is therefore imperative to be well versed in halachas of borer. So one more time, it's sorting. Borer is sorting. To understand which activities are forbidden, and to be acquainted with a permitted procedure of the following of every instance. So many times, on one hand, something is forbidden, but there is a permitted way to do that. I mean, not many times, always, or almost always, there is a permitted way to do things. Almost. Okay. So part number 2, the prohibition. Borer is literally defined as sorting. There is a taking out one variety from another. Taking one variety from another. Okay, we'll see. The melacha forbids not only sorting the entire mixture into the individual components, but even selecting the single item from the mixture. These two included in the melacha. For example, if apples and oranges are mixed together, taking an apple from the mixture is called borer. Okay, I would give I think different examples so we keep in mind, and we're going to discuss it later on, but so we have in mind. So you have grapes, cluster of grapes, and you see that one of them, one grape is spoiled, right? Spoiled. So you're not allowed to separate the spoiled one and throw it away. So what you can do? You can eat the good ones and leave the spoiled behind. So if you take the spoiled away, so it's borer. Okay. It's like basic concept, but we're going to develop it. A concept of borer. Many of 39 melachas forbid on Shabbos involving physical change and improvement for the item. For example, cooking and grinding change the item, right? Cooking, as we said, what is the definition of cooking? So we change the texture, the quality of the item, right? Grinding also, it was solid, something solid, and now we make also solid by the powder. Okay, powder or small pieces, let's say, grind. Certainly, a certain type of borer meet this criterion, such as peeling fruit or removing bones from fish. So basically, when we peel fruit, for example, you want to fruit, right? So you have apple, and you want to peel apple. So you separate, sort, right? Sort and separate. So you separate that, whatever you don't want to eat, like apple peel, right, from the apple itself. That's one of the examples. Okay. Or removing, as I say, bones from the fish or from chicken. However, most cases of borer involve no more than moving one item away from the other item. So just separate, like put it aside, move it away, move it aside somewhere, right? So it's not like you do such a big melacha, but even to push a little on the side, it's already melacha. Okay, so one more time the sentence. However, most of the cases borer involve no more than moving one item away from other items, which does not appear to be a significant action. Even so, an object is not considered ready for the use when it is mixed with other types of the obscured by them. The concept of the borer, therefore, means to take item and make readily available for use. Okay, so let's read these two sentences one more time, and we're going to explain, because it's a second very important concept. So we say one more time. Even so, the object is not considered ready for use when it is mixed with other types of obscured by them. So, for example, this chicken, right? You have chicken bone, and bone is obscured by the meat. Okay. The concept of the borer, therefore, means to take the item and make it readily available for use. So you take some, like you pull this chicken bone, and the meat is ready to be eaten. B. There is where is melacha applicable? The term sort in nature applies to mixture of different elements. Okay, so you can sort only when there is a mixture. When there is no mixture, there is no sorting. Okay, so we need to define what the mixture is. Okay. Number one, selecting food from waste. So we will have food and waste. So what does it mean? So food, basically what you want, and waste does not mean like it's like something spoiled, right? In my example that I gave about grapes. No, it could be something that you don't want, right? Something that you don't want is waste. It's halachic Torah. It's not like waste that you have to throw out, but waste in halachic Torah. The primary example of Milacha Barer is a mixture of food item, oichel, right, and waste item, pisulas. So mixture of good food. Food is what you want. It does not matter. That does not mean that in all of the examples it's going to be actually edible food. We're going to learn, but something that you want is considered food, right? Halachically, in this specific melacha, and something that you don't want, whether it's food or not food, it's going to call waste. Examples would be, but waste, as we said, it could be still food that is edible. Examples would be nuts mixed mixed with their shells. Edible apples. So meaning what? That you have these peanuts, right? So the nut inside is food for you, right? And shell is a waste. Good example. Edible apples mixed with rotten apples. Okay, so rotten apples is a waste and good apples are food. Okay. Number two, selecting between the two edible items. Including the Milacha of Bora is a case of two edible items in the mixture. The food item, there is a desires is called oichel, meaning food, right? We said it's food. And the food item that is not wanted is called pesoilos. Okay. For example, so whatever you want, one more time, is food. Whatever you don't want is waste. Okay. For example, if one is if one has cherries mixed with blueberries, and he wants to eat cherries, the cherries are called food, and the blueberries are called waste. Okay. Of course, we understand it's not waste, but halachically. Number three, separating items by using both. Separating the items and using both. Okay, let's see. The Melacha of Borer also applies to the mixture of two items that will both be used later. For example, apples for now and oranges for later. Although in this case both items are be used, so there is no ochel and pesoles, right? Meaning food and waste. Sometimes they translate, sometimes I'm not sure why. Nevertheless, the actual separation of the items is considered border. So it's very interesting case that the Rabbi is bringing, right? So he said that even if you're going to eat later, maybe you're going to eat, maybe not, right? But you have apples and have oranges, so you want to start with apples for whatever reason, and if you want to finish with oranges. So now you want to separate apples from oranges. So he's calling it a mixture. So in mixture, and you're separating. Okay, so we'll see. I mean, it's not so clear because apples and oranges, they do not mix. I mean, usually smaller pieces are mixed, but we'll see. Okay. Number four, selecting randomly. Sorting the mixture, so it's different scenarios, right? Sorting the mixture by taking items randomly is included in the Melacha of Borer. One of the normal methods of sorting mixture is taking articles randomly and putting them in a proper place. For example, when sorting a mixture of different types of cake or different types of meat, one would take a piece of cake or a piece of meat that comes first into his hand and then place it in a proper place. This would be a borer. Okay, so he would have a platter, let's say, leftover, right, that people did not eat, of cake, and let's say it was mixed. Let's say you serve it in buffet style, right? Let's say in 3 platters, and now you want to save this cake, whatever is left over, and you would take one, right, and put it in and then sort it and put all of this chocolate cake on this container, other cakes, cream cakes in other container. So it's 100% sorting, right? Even though you take in randomly, and then you put in a proper container, whatever, so it's going to be called sorting, which is not allowed. Number 5, so different scenario. Selecting part of wanted item, removing part of ochel, wanted item, from the mixture without fulfilling the condition outlined below, see page 132, we're going to see, is a biblical prohibition. Removing a part of the wanted item from a mixture without fulfilling the condition outlined below is a biblical prohibition. Okay, we will go to see the example. For example, if nuts are mixed with shells, nuts is mixed with shells, and one selects some of the nuts from the mixture without following the proper procedure, he has transgressed the milah of borer. Okay, since the nuts are completely freed from unwanted items, there is a shells, complete improvement was accomplished. So let's read one more time, try to understand. For example, if nuts are mixed with shells, and one selects some of the nuts from the mixture without following the proper procedure, he has transgressed the milah of borer. Since the nuts are completely freed from the unwanted item, there is a shell, complete improvement was accomplished. So we need to see, I mean, this example is very vague, as I see. So it's the way I understand this example, if somebody was shelling, let's say, peanuts, and they would put all of the shells and all of the shell nuts, right, nuts in the same bowl. So now he wants to take only nuts. So if he's going to push away all of the shells, so it's going to be borer. That's the way I understand what he was trying to say, but it's not so clear from here. Okay.
So question here.
Okay, go ahead.
No, it's about this type of food. So it would be better to assume that it's forbidden for Shabbos to get benefit.
No. Opposite the show. We have to enjoy the Shabbos. I mean, this food is like is usually dessert, right? So you need to use. You're allowed to eat it, but when you shell it, for example, you have to shell in the proper order. Like, I mean, there is a special procedure how you do it, right? For example, what we said, you're not allowed to separate bad from good, right? Bad from good. Bad is what is not desirable, and good is desirable. So, for example, if you have a peanut, right? So in order to get to the nut inside, you have to separate the shell. There is no other way, right? So this is one of the exceptions. Since there is no other way for you to get to the peanut, so this would be allowed. You understand? But let's say you have piece of chicken, right? You have piece of chicken. So some people they take out the bone right away and they eat meat. So this would not be allowed. But if you remove you remove the meat, let's say with your fork, with your knife, you remove the meat, there is no problem. You take whatever you want to eat and leave the bone over.
But in the case of the peanuts, it would be bordering danger of biblical melacha, maybe.
In the
I'm not
case
sure.
of, I don't know. I mean, the other problem with the shells is it's mukse, it should not be moved. Let's say it's a different issue. But since there is no other way to get to this fruit, there is no problem. Same as orange, right? So I mean, apple. Let's say you can eat apple with the skin. There is no problem. But orange, you're not going to eat with the skin. So the only way to eat orange is to peel the orange and eat it. So there is no problem. But in other cases, like an example that they give a fish, so you have bones in a fish. So if you try to take out the bones, so it's 100% bara. You take in whatever you don't want from what you want, right? So you take in waste from food. So what Ashkenazim do, we eat gefilte fish. Gefilte fish is a cutlets, like some cutlets that when only made from fillet, there is no bones inside. There is a way to separate bones, but to make it easier, so that's what how people eat food, or they eat fish without, like I would say, what would be like flounder, right? You eat flounder, there is no bones. If you take fillet, there is no bones. Salmon also, many parts there is almost no bones. If you take whitefish, it's a lot of bones, so you have to be careful. But even like people learn how to clean the fish before Shabbos, of course. It is prepared, and you know how to clean it, and that's it. That's what we do. And, okay, there are ways. I mean, just to say that everything is forbidden, it's not the proper approach. We just say how to do it correctly, and that's it. Okay, continue. So next scenario is number 6. Okay, selecting part of the unwanted item. Removing part of the solace, unwanted item is rabbinical prohibition. Since some of the pisoles is still mixed with ochel, meaning with the good. I mean, let's use food and waste. It would be easier. Since some of the pisoles are still mixed, meaning pisoles meaning this bad stuff, right? It mixed with the good stuff. 1 second. Next page. Removal of pisoles is only a partial improvement to to the good. So when they remove something, not completely. I mean, we'll see example. Some remove something that you don't want, but not completely. So it would be from food stuff. It would be only rabbinic prohibition. Okay, so we're going to see what does it mean. Section C, and I think they're going to give all of the good examples, so don't worry about it. If now it's these two cases, last cases is not so clear, I think they're going to explain. Okay. Okay, so number 1. So to what does melach apply? Number 1, the foods and liquids. Not only does the melach borer applies to all the food items, but it's also applied to liquids as well. Straining and filtering the liquid to remove impurities, for example, sediment from wine, or unwanted matter, for example, herbs from soup, okay, is an act of borer. Likewise, removing particle of dirt or insect from a drink is included in melach borer. So you're drinking your wine, and then a fly decided to take a bath in your wine. So if you just taking the fly, right? So it's waste. You're taking waste from food, which would be forbidden, right? So what you should do, you have to do the following. You have to separate bad with good, meaning you take this fly with a little of wine, and then there is no problem. But when you try to strain something, like when you want just clear broth or whatever you want to do, like whatever you do not want, right? So, for example, you want to only drink the the broth from the soup, right? You have vegetable soup. You don't want vegetables. You want to drink the liquid. So in this case, all of the vegetables, of course, they're edible, but for you, it's going to be waste, and you're not allowed to do that, of course. Okay. Continue. Separated. But now we're talking about liquids. So far, liquids. Okay. Separating one liquid from another. For example, skimming fat from the soup is borer. So you have soup, like very fatty soup, and if you do not want this fat on top, so it's 100% borer, not allowed. So, and of course, you're not allowed to use all of the instruments, all of the like perforated spoon or other special instrument to remove something from something. Similarly, separating liquid from food. For example, pouring excess of water from cholent is borer. See page 166 for practical applications. Oh, okay, we're going to get 66. It's 40 pages away. All right, so no problem. So one more time, separating solids from food from liquids is borer. Separating liquids from liquids is borer. And separating liquids from solids is also borer, meaning sorting. So as we said in the beginning, this melacha applies every time. There is no such a Shabbos when this melacha would not apply. And unless they eat only bread, let's say. Okay, so number 2, non-foods. The prohibition of borer also applies to non-food items. For example, sorting cutlery, clothing, sforim, right? So it's shocking for some people. They do not know this thing, right? Sforim. So you have books, so you're not allowed to sort them. For example, you're in a shul and you want to put it back on the shelf. There are, of course, there are allowed proper way to do that, but okay, we're going to learn. Cutlery and clothing. Okay. Summary. Borer is defined as a sorting, a mixture into its components. Sorting part of the mixture or selecting one of the items of the mixture falls under the category of borer. So it's complete separation, sorting the whole mixture, or even one item. You sort one item, sort in double quotes, one item from the mixture, meaning separated, so it's also borer. Taking items from the mixture at random and putting them into their own groupings is also a form of borer. So example of this would be, so you have, what would be example, like cutlery, right? So you have forks and knives and spoons, they're all mixed together. So you say, okay, I cannot sort. I'm not going to sort, but I'm going to take one item with my eyes closed. Okay, I took a small fork. I'm going to put it in a pile of small forks. Next time I close my eyes, I take a knife. So I'm going to put it with a knife. So on one hand, it's random. It's not like you care whatever you select on one hand. But on the other hand, since the act, the end result is sorted, so it is sorted 100%, not allowed. The melacha applies to foods, okay, liquids and non-foods, okay, as we just said. In many mixtures, these items, or when unwanted, just 1 second, in any mixture of these items, or when unwanted material is mixed with a useful item, sorting all parts of the mixture falls under the category of borer. Okay, let's read one more time and we explain. In any mixture of these items, so any mixture, I mean solids with liquids, right? Good with good, bad with good. For example, I give a good example. So you have a bowl of nuts and you have raisins in there, right? In the same, so they mix, like they call it trail mix. Right? So you want to eat only raisins. So I mean, the nuts are good, the nuts are delicious, but you push them away, right, to get to the raisins. So it's food with food, 100%. Just now you're craving these raisins, but usually you like nuts better. right? So it's food and food. It's not like you don't like one and you like the second one, but it's going to be 100% boreh, right? So one more time, the whole sentence: in any mixture of these items, or when unwanted material is mixed with a useful one, right? So as we said, the nuts with the raisins. Sorting all of the parts of the mixture falls under the category of boreh. Okay. Part number 3. Scope of boreh. The melacha of boreh has been defined as sorting or selecting one item from the mixture of different items. So one more time, we have to be very clear. So one more time, this sentence: the melacha of boreh has been defined as sorting or selecting one item from the mixture of different items. So first of all, the key word we have to see is the different items. So if it's the same items, it's not exactly boreh, right? If it's I have a cluster of grapes, and I take, I don't know, maybe this one looks more appetizing to me, right? I don't know, but I like it better for whatever reason. Doesn't matter. So it's not sorting because they all look the same. Okay. So it's one more time from different items, even one. So in order to transgress the melacha, as we learned in all of the previous classes, our Shabbos classes, there is always a minimum requirement. Like how much you need to do to transgress the melacha. So, for example, in writing, we say you have to write two letters or 2 symbols, right? But if you wrote one, it would be biblically forbidden. Rabbinically forbidden. So it's always minimum requirement of transgression of eating forbidden food, right? So you need to eat kizayis. So same is here. One item you already transgressed. However, choosing an article from the group of identical items, for example, taking one apple from the bowl of the similar apple is not act of boreh, since it has been no selection from the mixture of different items. So they put the word mixture and the word different in double quotes. So meaning different, it has to be different. That just because you like it, maybe one apple is smaller, so you don't know, you don't want a big apple, you want a smaller apple. So it's not mixture in then no different. I'm not sure. I don't think they different taste. Maybe, but not significantly different between smaller apple of the same kind and a little bigger. Okay. So one more time, it's not boreh. No, it's not sorting. It is therefore permitted in this instance to select the item even with utensil. We must define. Okay. So sometimes you would need to use utensil to get that item. So as we understand, we will not always eat with our hands, right? Sometimes we use forks and spoons and other things. Okay. A. How different must the items be to constitute a mixture, right? So small apples and big apples, is it mixture or not? So we said it's not, right? But we'll see how different. But if apples, for example, green apples and red apples, are they the same mixture? Okay, we're going to answer this question. B, to what degree must items be mixed, right? For the melacha to apply. So what does that mean mixed, right? So example that I would give, maybe if you have a platter, right, and you have let's say different you have like let's say pieces of meat, right, and pieces of chicken, right, and they just they on the same platter, so they're not mixed, even though they're on the same platter. Maybe they touch each other, but they're not mixed. You understand? They're completely separate. So mix something like we'll see. Maybe to get to the one, you have to move away another. That would be mixed. Okay. A. How different must the item be to constitute a mixture? Okay, so that's what our example was about apples. Right? Food mixed with waste. Food, of course, food in double quotes, waste is also in double quotes. We have already seen that food, ochel, and waste, pesoles, are considered different items, and when combined, constitute a mixture. So our peanuts would be a mixture, right? Our egg in a shell would be a mixture. Orange would be a mixture, but blueberry is not a mixture. Okay. This is true even for the waste that occurs naturally in food, such as bones, fat, shells, and pits. So, of course, I mean, nobody mimics the bone into the chicken or in the fat into the meat and shells and pits. So it's normal, right? For example, I think it's a good example. For example, you eat in a peach, right? So let's say you ate half of the peach, so you're not allowed to remove the pit inside. You have to continue eating whatever is left, right? So I mean, usually when we eat, that's how we eat, right? You ate half, you remove the spit, and you continue it, but not on Shabbos. Okay. So maybe like the way I see, so what we do, like if we sort fruits, we cut them for people, right? Because sometimes, like, since people doing the same one way the whole week, the whole year, the whole life, so they might forget that today is Shabbos, and they would be talking or whatever, preoccupied with some thoughts, and they would remove bad from good. So, but if you do it before, like for them, that's the best thing. Okay. So continue. Similarly, any liquid containing impurities is considered a mixture of food and waste, and may not be strained or filtered, whether the impurity as foreign matters, for example, dirt, or natural substances like sediment and wine. Okay. So I think it's a very good example. One more time. So about these liquids. So you have impurities in it. I mean, of course, most of the impurities are edible and drinkable, but some people like it more pure, right? So whatever they don't want is considered to be waste. So if they consider to be waste, so they cannot strain or filter it for sure. And it doesn't matter, like if you have I don't know, this soup and you want to strain the vegetables, right? Which is good, or you want to strain some dirt. I'm not sure about dirt. Maybe like this fly fell into our soup, let's say, right? Okay, or sediment in the wine. I mean, in our wine, like today, I haven't seen sediment for a long time. I don't know, maybe I don't know why. I think they improve the quality of wine. Maybe some homemade wine have sediment, but whatever you buy in the store, I have never seen it. I mean, not never. I want to take it back for a long time, maybe for 15 years, last 15 years. I mean, before that, yeah, it was sediment for sure. Even maybe in olden wines, I'm not sure. Even in the waste material is edible. For example, fat. The law of Borer apply. So basically, so if somebody like he eats a piece of meat and he does not want a fat. Okay, guy is on a diet. It does not look good to him. He watches his cholesterol, which is good. Baruch HaShem. So if he wants to cut off fat, it's 100% Borer. There is a proper way to you're allowed to cut fat away. Nobody is going to stuff it into you, but there are allowed way and forbidden ways to do that. Continue. As long as that material is not desired, is considered a waste product, which may not be separated from food. So as soon as if you want this piece of fat, like I don't know, for to eat with some other dish later, it's one thing, right? But if like I mean later, I mean in 5 minutes later, not next course, right? 5 minutes later. So there is no problem, right? But technically, whatever you do not want, again, it's a waste. Even though it's edible food and you don't want it now. I give a different example. Some people don't like the chicken skin. right? And they remove the skin. Is it edible? Yeah, of course it's edible. Is it healthy? No, it's not. But it's a different. So if somebody does not eat this chicken skin because he considers it's not healthy, right? So for him, it's a waste, 100%, even though it's edible. It should be noted that all the border applies to non-food as well to the food items. The poskim use the term food as opposed to waste to describe any useful or fundamental items or functional, useful or functional items in a mixture. So one more time, maybe we said it before, but they just said it, that when we say food, it does not mean always food. It's what you want. Waste is whatever you don't want. Food, whether it's food or not, it's irrelevant. Okay, continue. Food mixed with food. Okay, that's example. Our examples that we gave before is raisins with nuts, right? Food with food. Are they mixed? Yeah, they're small and they're mixed, 100%. As stated above, in addition to the mixture of food and waste, the melacha applies to the mixture of food with food. Food, double quotes, right? There is mixture of different types of useful products. Any of the following criteria will determine if the item is considered different. Different also, as you said, in order for it to be called mixture, they must be different. Number one, different species. Okay. Number two, different tastes. So basically, if in our example with apples, let's say green apples are very like sour, right? And red apples are very sweet. So different taste. Number three, different levels of quality. Different levels of quality. Something is a more ripe, let's say, than the others. For sure, it's different qualities. Number four, different functions. So functions, it's most likely it's not food, right? As we said, example, cutlery. So you have knife and you have forks, right? Different functions. Number five, different sizes. Okay. So we will see how significantly different the sizes should be. We will now elaborate on this category. So we have, what is it? We have 5 categories to see whether it's different or not different. Okay, number one, different species. Items of completely different species qualify as mixture when combined. For example, bowl of mixed fruit or nuts, right? Salad, or even nuts, and you have peanuts and walnuts, right? It's 2 different nuts, 2 different species, right? So that's the mixture. A salad of the different vegetables, so it's also mixture. So you have tomatoes and cucumbers and lettuce, right? Different things. Or cholent contain meat, potatoes, and beans, a mixture of the different species of food, right? So also, and since you can separate them, I just want to add to this statement, because if you cannot separate it, if it's overcooked a little and it's like one mass and you cannot separate, so this melacha would not apply, of course. Likewise, a pile of mixed cutlery, consider of knives, spoons, and forks, is a mixture of different species of the utensils. So basically, they call cutlery all of it, right? But they have different species, right? If you call it species, okay. Species, but different usage also, the different functions. So this cutlery would be in number 1, and I guess in category number 4 also. Continue, number 2, different tastes. Items of the same species with different flavors are considered a mixture when combined. The following are some examples, right? So when we say different tastes, some example: A, red and green apples. So as we assumed, they have one is sour, one is sweet. I mean, different tastes. Even though maybe they both of them sweet, and but different tastes anyway. B, red and green grapes. So I mean, totally different taste. C, whole wheat and white bread, also different taste, right? D, cooked, dried, and baked fish. Okay, it's all fish. It could be the same species of fish, but depends on the preparation. They differ now. They're different types. Now different what? Tastes. Sorry, we're talking about tastes. E, cooked, dried, or baked chicken. Fried, cooked, fried, or baked chicken. So all of them have different tastes. So if they one on top of the other, so they are considered to be mixed. F, beefsteak, plum, beefsteak / plum tomatoes, and grape cherry tomatoes. So I mean, big tomatoes and small tomatoes, that also a different taste. Next one, salmon and gefilte fish. Gefilte fish usually they do from carp or from white fish or from pike. I don't know from what else, or from what else they do. And salmon, of course, it's different taste. H, cooked and baked apples. Cooked, I'm not sure. I never tried cooked apple. They bake apple, but cook, okay. Cook apple. Okay. I, last one, oranges and tangerines. So I mean, maybe they almost the same color, but taste has nothing to do with one another. Okay. So we finished tastes. We go into different category, different levels of quality. Okay. If items of the same species, but are significantly different in quality, they can also consider a mixture, because those of the inferior quality are considered waste when compared to the higher quality. So basically, some I don't know, some fruits are more ripe, and that's what you want to eat, and some of them are not as developed, right? So you don't want it. Maybe you're going to eat them tomorrow or a few hours later because you run out of the good stuff. So, but for sure, it is waste, and wherever is a better quality is food. Significantly different in quality means that the first item is perfectly usable, whereas whether the inferior item would be used only in cases of necessity. So as we said, I mean, if you want to, where did we learn? We learned last time in our Tuesday class of Kitzur. No, was it in Kitzur? No, was it? Maybe it was not last time. Maybe the time before last. So when Kitzur said that a person should eat only when he's hungry, right? And the question asks, how do you know if you're hungry? Right? How to check yourself, test yourself? He said very simple. If you're hungry, you're going to eat any food, right? Any food, whatever food is available, you're going to eat. Whatever drink is available, you're going to drink. But if you start picking and choosing, I want this, I want that, so you're not hungry. Right? You're not hungry. You're just craving for something, right? So that's the difference, right? So same is here. So the food, maybe it's not as high quality, but in the case of the set, if you're hungry, for sure you're going to eat. So it's not waste, right? Completely waste. But in this case, when you select only good and you leave other behind, so it is waste. For example, a cluster of grapes containing some spoiled grapes is considered a mixture of food, fresh grapes, and waste spoiled grapes. Okay. Even if the spoiled grapes will still somewhat edible. Okay, maybe it's spoiled like in some side, it's like a small spot is not good. So basically, many times you can bite half of the grape and it's good, right? So it's not completely waste, right? Waste if they would be eaten only in the case of necessity. Maybe they're not that spoiled. Okay, another case of a significantly inferior quality is completely fresh food that of very poor flavor. For example, platter of meat, some of which is burned, that's a good example, is considered a mixture of food, properly cooked pieces, and waste burned pieces. I think it's a brilliant example. So, for example, they burn meat a little, right? And they put on all of it on one platter, right? So, whatever the good ones, the good pieces of food, and the burnt one waste. I mean, of course, you can cut off the pieces that are burnt, but you can eat the rest. But as a whole piece, you would prefer the piece without any burns, right? So that's I think it's a very good example. So food, but not high quality. However, if there is no significant difference in the quality of the items, for example, they are precisely edible, perfectly edible, they do not qualify as a mixture, even though some pieces are tastier and more attractive than the others. Okay, so if there is no such a thing, so it's simply not a mixture. Okay, so I mean, if there is no difference in quality. Okay, number 4, different functions. Items that belong to the same category but serve as a different function constitute mixture. The following are some example: 4 soup spoons and teaspoons. Okay, technically, I guess you can use both of them interchangeably, but soup spoon is to eat soup, and a teaspoon is to add, I guess, sugar to your coffee or to your tea, right? So, but different function, so they consider to be mixed. And B, kitchen knives and table knives. So, of course, they're different functions, kitchen knives and table knives, even though both of them are knives. And in the first case, both of them are spoons, right? But the different functions. It's not, we're not comparing spoons and forks. No, we compare spoons and spoons. They have different function, and knives, kitchen knives and table knives, also different functions. C, large platters and large plates and small plates. Okay, so they have different functions, right, for large plates and small plates. D, spoons and forks. Okay. Food items that taste the same but have different color are not considered a mixture unless one wants the food item which is specific color or for decoration. So that's very interesting. So for decoration, to make like create like centerpiece in the table. Okay. Otherwise, we consider it as they are the same, serve the same function. Okay. Check. Okay, so let's see how much we can cover, because we're not going to cover maybe even 2 classes. Okay, so number 5, and it's actually the last one in our list, was the different sizes. In general, different sizes or similar items are considered one type and do not constitute as a mixture, unless their function affected by their size. Such a case of spoons, soup spoons and teaspoons, or it's plates, large plates and small plates. Among foods, however, size rarely affect the function of the food, and therefore different sizes, the different size pieces of one variety of food are not considered mixed. So it doesn't matter how they chop, like you cut it, I don't know, whatever we do for salad. I mean, it's all the same. One is bigger, one is smaller. They taste exactly the same, or very close to the same. However, matzah meal would be different, since the pieces of matzah cannot be used for the same function as matzah meal. It is forbidden to sort pieces of matzah that are mixed with the matzah meal. That's very interesting. So let's read one more time because Pesach is coming. It's very practical. Let me read one more time. However, the matzah meal would be different. So what is the matzah meal? Matzah meal is grind matzah. So when you grind matzah, you have a matzah meal, right? It's almost like flour, but more coarse, I guess, and unless you have a special grinder, right? So you can bake from this from the matzah, from this matzah meal. But the difference is that on matzah you can say you can use it for lechem mishnah, for double breads, right? But this matzah meal that doesn't maybe same weight, but you cannot use it. So I mean it's the same material, but the size makes all of the difference. I mean, if you want, you can add this matzah meal to your soup, for example. There is no problem. You can add matzah, but the functionality is different because of the sizes. So one more time, since the pieces of matzah cannot be used for the same function as matzah meal, it is forbidden to sort pieces of matzah that are mixed with matzah meal. So basically, try to do it before the holidays. Okay, summary. The mixture can be composed of either food and waste or several different foods. So one more time, the waste does not mean it's bad, but food means that that's what you want. Waste means that something that you don't want, or several different foods. So still a mixture, like we said, for example, about two types of fish. One is I don't know, what is it, like smoked fish, and one is I don't know, fried fish, like two separate types of fish. The item waste can apply even to edible items. Can apply even to edible items if they are not desired. So waste meaning, as we said, nuts, right? I think it's a good example. You want only peanuts and you don't want walnuts. Okay, so walnuts for you is a waste. Okay. Mixture of food with food. This are subject to borer only if the item is different of species, as we said, different species, tastes, levels of quality, and functions, or functions. However, items of different sizes are not necessarily subject to the law of borer, right? Just because of different subject. Because we said most likely it's the same taste unless each size has a different function. Like the best example, this matzah and matzah meal. Okay. B. One second. What was A? A was how different must the items be in to be considered mixture. Okay, that's what we said. So B. To what degree must the item be mixed for a borer to apply? Right. So mixture is good, but what is the mixture? As we gave example, as I gave example of the platter, and they these items, these pieces of chicken, pieces of meat laid together on a platter. Is a mix or not? So of course it's not. I mean and how much they have to be mixed in order to be considered mixed. If one is on top of that, is it mixed or not? So that's the question that we're going to deal in this section. Introduction. The precise degree to which items must be mixed in order for borer to apply is unclear. That's very good. Therefore, in any situation when the object has been placed in close proximity to the other item, so that it is perceived as a part of assortment and not as an individual unit, is considered mixed. Mixed and double quotes, of course, even if each item is recognizable within the mixture. So basically, since it's not clear, it's not 100% clear as what formula we can apply to it to be mixed, but since it is it is a biblical milacha, right? So we always trying to go by stricter view. So if it's a little mixed, a little in double quotes, so we're going to say that it is mixed. So what does it mean? For further clarification, however, we can categorize 4 types of mixtures. Let me see 4 types of mixtures. Okay. Okay, so we can do 4 types of mixture and stuff. Okay, number 1, random mixture. Okay. Number 2, items lying in close proximity. Number 3, items attached to one another. So what items attached to one another would be like skin of the chicken, right? It is attached. So, and it is mixed. I mean, mixed in a lucky sense, of course. 4, large items piled on one another or lying near one another, like as we said, pieces of chicken, right? So it would be number 4. Okay, now so we start with number 1, random mixture. A random mixture is the one in which different species are intermingled so that they lose their individual identity to a certain extent, right? So all of the salads, which include cases in which the separate ingredients are not readily discernible. For example, chont, right? So they partially lose their identity, right? Chont is a perfect example. And those in those in which the different items are more easily recognizable. For example, bowl of nuts or cut fruit or pile of cutlery, right? So I mean, you see what is what, right? Not as much as in a chont case. Okay, in either case, the items are not perceived in the individual unit, but as part of the assortment, and are therefore considered mixed. That's the definition, right? So they're not considered to go one more time. In either case, the items are not perceived as individual units, not as individual units. So individual units would be oranges and apples, right? The individual unit, but the part of the assortment that are therefore considered mixed. Okay. There is no fixed minimum for the items necessary to consider a mixture. Rather, it depends on whether the separate units are perceived as individual items or as a part of the group. So here we go. So we need to, if it's part of the group, then it's mixture, right? Okay. Small items, for example, nuts, lose their individual identity to some degree, even when they're few are combined in a bowl. So I don't know, on the bottom of the bowl I have 5 nuts, right? Okay, they're already somewhat mixed. In a contrast, large items, for example, fruits, do not lose their individuality at all unless a relatively large amount of them placed together. So if I don't know, you put some peach next to a plum, so I mean it's not that they're not exactly mixed, right? Number 2, items lying in close proximity. Items not thrown together randomly, but merely placed near each other so that to appear as one group. For example, mixed platter of cold cuts, a mixed platter of cake, fall into this category. See page 171 regarding the organized platters. Okay, we're going to get to it. So one more time, so that this is a good point. So number 2, items lying in close proximity. So are they mixed or not? So you see they're not mixed. Items are not thrown together randomly, but merely placed near one another, so to appear as one group. So I mean, you're organizing the platter. For example, mixed platter of the cold cuts, right? So you put one on top, one next to another. A mixed platter of cake fall into this category. Okay. The Pastry Rule that since 3 large items lined together, for example, pieces of silverware or 3 fruits, are also so few in numbers and are fully discernible, as they would not be considered a mixture regarding the law of Borel. So I mean, as we already have to understand that it's not, in some cases it's not clear case with the big items, but three items like two forks and one knife, it's not exactly a mixture, right, on one hand. But let's see. Each case must be evaluated individually to determine whether a group of the object constitutes a mixture or not. When in doubt, one should be stringent and follow the method of selecting outlined on page 132. Okay, so we're not going to get to that today, but BeEzrat HaShem next time, right? So, since, as we said, it is biblical melacha, right? So we always, if you're not sure, so go by strict review and say that, yeah, it is a mixture. And I mean, as we said before, there are always allowed ways or how to resolve the issue. Okay, number 3, items attached to one another. Another type of mixture subject to barer is one in which the various species are clearly defined, but they are attached to it at some point. Following the example of this category, fat attached to the meat. Fruit, next one, fruit or vegetable with peel, right? So cucumber, right? You have cucumber, so this peel for sure it's attached to the cucumber. Okay, so that would be a mixture. C, bruised or partially rotten fruit. Okay, so meaning this rotten part. I mean, you can take a little knife and cut it off, and the rest of the food is good. Like if it was bruised a little, your apple bruised, you don't want to eat that part, but the rest of the apple is good. I mean, it just fell in the refrigerator, whatever. So but this is considered to be mixture. Next one, so in mixture that is attached to one another, good part and bad part attached to one another. So next example, D, eggs or nuts in shells. So of course, eggshell attached to the eggs is mixed. Although in this case, the food and the waste are each clearly defined, they're nevertheless considered mixed in double quotes, of course, at the point when they attach. There is a careful separation is needed to make the food completely distinct. Thus, separation of two can be over the act of barer. So one more time, we have to do everything carefully according to. I'm not sure. Maybe we're not going to get even next class to that. But okay, maybe the class after that. BeEzrat HaShem. Continue. Large items. So number 4, the fourth category. Large items piled on one another, or lying near one another. So large, you cannot make any mistakes. The fourth category of mixture is one on which large items are piled one on top of the other, or lying next to each other. However, small subjects piled on top of one another usually lose their individual identity somewhat, and consider a random mixture as in random mixture above, as we did discuss, right? Example of the categories are a snack of the different size plates. Snack of different size plates, okay. Stock, I apologize, stock. It's very late today. A stock of different size plates. So you have big plates and smaller plates, and they on top of one another. I mean, you see, this is dinner plates, this is fish plates, salad plates. So you can see clearly. So they're not mixed. A pile of the hand towels and dish towels. Okay, I'm not sure which one is larger. Maybe dish towel is larger than hand towels, I guess. Right? C, sforim, or books lying on a table. Right? It's in some cases, I mean, of course, you see the different books. Okay. In these cases, each item can be recognized individually, yet they're considered mixed to some degree. Of course, I mean, you see that books are different, separate. Because they're in a pile, or line next to each other. Later in this chapter, page 150, so maybe next time, we will see that the laws of Borer are more lenient with regard to the last three categories of mixture. Okay, there is those that lie close to proximity, attached mixtures, and piles of mixtures. That with regard to the random mixture. So the random mixture, like example of our nuts and raisins, that's the toughest one. Okay, so summary. The term mixture refers to the group of items in which each item has lost individual identity to some degree and is perceived as a part of assortment. In addition, items are not actually mixed, but merely attached or piled on one another or lying next to each other can also be considered mixture, and are subject to the law of Borer depending upon the circumstances. Okay, so we got to the next section, so we can stop here. Okay, any questions on any subject? Please go ahead. No questions? Okay. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
No, for today, I didn't prepare any
Okay, no
questions.
problem. BeEzrat HaShem next time. So tomorrow, same time. BeEzrat HaShem. Thank you very much. Good night until tomorrow. Thank you.
Shalom V'chai, everybody. We're back here in the United States after 6 extraordinary weeks in Eretz Yisrael, the Holy Land. We saw extraordinary things there. The beauty of the Kotel, the beauty of the land itself, and of course, the extraordinary beauty of the Chachamim. A huge event where several thousand people showed up to honor the Torah alongside us and also hear the wisdom of Gedolei Ador was what we started the trip with. But along the next several weeks, we got to meet many other Chachamim, spoke in many different places, kollels, yeshivot, Beit Knesset, and we got to see some of the most extraordinary things I've ever seen in my life. But one of the things that we did see that is not as exactly as exciting is the spiritual poverty that's in Eretz Yisrael in certain places. Places like Tel Aviv, places that people are walking the streets without having a concept of what modesty is, without having a concept of who the God of Israel is, without even having a concept that the fact that they're stepping on holy ground. These are our holy brothers and sisters that we've dedicated our life to help to get them closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And one of the things that we're doing in the United States, in Australia, in Canada, in England, and many other places around the world. Baruch Hashem, we've succeeded in doing it. But one of the other things that we did see is also that there's a material poverty. A material poverty is simply so abundant, so extraordinary that it breaks your heart. We're sitting in our house when the next door neighbor decided to pass by to say hello, and while they were saying hello, they asked us if we have any extra toys because they simply couldn't afford to buy their kids any toys. Of course, my kids gave them their toys, and Baruch Hashem, we got to fulfill the mitzvah. But there are thousands upon thousands of these types of families. Families of Chachamim, families of Tzaddikim that simply have poverty as a standard way of living. These are the types of families that we've dedicated our lives to help as well. Over the last few years, we've helped tens of thousands of people to feed them during the holidays, to get them toys, to get them clothes, to get them beds, to get them whatever we possibly can. During this trip, we also lost a very dear friend, one of our partners in the distribution, a very dear friend of ours, Giveret Ital, that really dedicated her life to helping Am Yisrael. We're going to miss her, but as a dedication to her, as a dedication for Klal Yisrael, and as another way to honor our Kadosh Baruch Hu, we're continuing to do our food distribution as well as our spiritual distribution. We need your help. This time of the year is Rosh HaShana, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, the high holidays. These are the times where most people donate the most of their money during this time of the year because they need the righteous judgment. They need the good judgment. They need to be blessed with a new child, with financial success, with a health miracle, with all types of issues. And Baruch Hashem, people know that the blessings of the Mezakei HaRabim, people that have dedicated their life to helping Am Yisrael, those blessings get a special VIP treatment in Shamayim. Over the years, we've had many people tell us how each and every single one of their blessings that they received from us was fulfilled during that year. And as a result of their donations, they got many, many more folds of blessings than they could ever imagine. Please, partner with us during this time of the year. Be generous and also be understanding that this is the time where every single one of us gets judged and every one of us needs a little help. If we help HaKadosh Baruch Hu's children, spiritually and materially, there is no doubt in my mind that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will also help us as well. Thank you very much for all of your support over the years. May Hashem continue to bless you, and BeEzrat Hashem, we will all have a Shana Tova.
ידידיי ואהוביי, אחיי ואחיותיי היקרים. אם שמתם לב, ארגון בעזרת השם פעיל במשך כל השנה. הפעילות שלו מתבצעת במישור הגשמי והרוחני. זאת אומרת, לדאוג לאחינו בית ישראל, גם לנשמה וגם לגוף. ישנם אנשים שעניים בתורה. ישנם אנשים שעניים מבחינה כלכלית. לקחנו על עצמנו את התפקיד הקשה לדאוג גם מבחינה רוחנית וגם מבחינה גשמית לכלל ישראל בארץ ובעולם. ברוך השם, עד היום נעזרו על ידינו עשרות אלפי אנשים. משפחות נזקקות, לא רק מבחינה רוחנית, גם מבחינה גשמית, אם זה סלים בחגים, אם זה אוכל, אם זה שתייה, אם זה עזרה בעניינים רפואיים, בכל דבר ועניין שהיה נרתמנו לעזור, והחידוש הגדול שלא על מנת לקבל פרס. בלי אחוזים, בלי עניינים, עוד הפוך. ראשי הארגון באים ותורמים מכספם את כל מה שצריך כדי לבוא ולעזור לעם ישראל. זה הארגון היחיד שאני יכול לבוא ולהעיד שכולו לשם שמיים. לכן ידידיי ואהוביי, אנחנו מבקשים את עזרתכם לבוא ולהמשיך להפוך את העולם למקום יותר טוב. הן מבחינה רוחנית, הן מבחינה גשמית. ואנחנו בקמפיין הקבוע שלנו לימים נוראים, לפני החגים, שאנחנו באים ודואגים לאלפי אנשים בסלי מזון, בעזרה לחגים ובשאר מצרכים. לצורך זה פתחנו בקמפיין גיוס המונים של עזרה לנזקקים, ועוד קמפיין של תמיכה כללית בפעילות הארגון שנלחם במשך כל השנה בכוחות הרע, בעניינים של כפירה, בהפצת תורה ויהדות. כל מי שירצה לבוא ולהיות שותף, כאן בדף הזה של הקמפיין, מוזמן לבוא ויקבל ברכת שמיים, ושכל משאלות לבכם יתקיימו לטובה. שנה טובה ומתוקה, שנה טובה ומבורכת, ארגון בעזרת השם.